Just got up here to Shine Supply and I straight up cannot even recognize this truck, man. All right, so a lot of you guys have been asking us when we're gonna do some car detailing type content, and luckily for you, I'm the only one there that actually likes keeping my cars clean. And I made the mistake of buying a black truck living in Southern California. And I've been complaining about it on my social media a little bit, and luckily my buddy Rick,
what's up?
AKA Dune Whore, offered to help me out. So he's got, or had, I guess he just sold it.
I sold it to this gentleman.
But he has a Raptor that looks almost identical, except for it's like the cleanest one in existence. So he saw my truck, made fun of me for all my swirl marks, and was like, why don't we make a video on how to paint correct a black car? And so we're gonna do that.
We're here with Jeremy.
So we're here with Jeremy from Shine Supply, who is going to show us how awful my truck actually looks under some light.
We're gonna expose it right now.
Number one thing is this truck was original owner, low miles, but it was taken through a car wash its entire life, and it definitely shows. Luckily, I've got it in time where we didn't actually get any oxidation on it. There's no paint peeling or the typical California like meth mouth, you know, clear coat peeling off everywhere. So we got it in time. So what we're gonna do is a multi-stage paint correction and then ceramic coat. This way this thing could sit out in the sun and bake and be protected. Now I'm no cameraman, so I'm gonna do my best to show you how awful this actually looks, but
pretty good.
Look at that. Let's see how we could make this really pop. Yeah, I mean, you could see all like the pretty harsh scratches in the paint here.
This one shows you more.
And this is everything from, you know, just typical like taking it out on trails and brushing it up against like bushes and stuff, but also most of this is probably just from taking it through car washes.
Pretend this is a wash mitt. You're washing down here and you come right up and bring all the crap from down there up into your paint. That's where a lot of that comes from. I mean, other than this,
dude, look at that
pinstriping.
Yeah, I got some pinstriping there, but
most of it's just pulling crap from the bottom up onto your paint. A lot of it can be avoided just from proper washing.
I'm gonna leave my truck with these guys. They're gonna take good care of it. But let's go. Let's a quick run through of what you're gonna have to do.
So what we're gonna do is we are going to decontaminate the paint to start with, and that means, you know, a lot of times when you wash your car, even when it's clean, it still feels rough, right?
Yeah.
Like gritty. So we're gonna decontaminate. We're gonna get all that off because we don't want to start doing any compound and polishing till all that stuff's off the paint. So we're gonna decontaminate it. Then we're gonna go through with what we call a paint correction step. With a compound, we're gonna correct all the defects, not hiding them. We're gonna actually remove them. Then we're gonna do a second step, which we call a refinement step. We take some polish, bring up a high gloss, get the paint maximum shine gloss. Then third final step, we're gonna protect it with ceramic coating.
For anyone out there, like, I'm using a handheld camera. I don't really know how to operate a camera too well, but my truck has gotten to the point where I don't even wash it because I wash it and it looks worse. Like, I literally, and I don't go to the car wash. I don't use the brush at the self car wash. I wash it by hand, and then I step back and look at it and I'm like, this looks disgusting.
It'll look like a different truck when it's done.
We're gonna pull the wheels off, clean them all up. We're gonna use B-lock wheel and suspension coating, coat these.
Oh damn, you're gonna coat the underside too?
We're gonna coat these arms, the coils, these icon. So what that's gonna do is it's gonna make it when you come in and just do your power washing, a lot of the dirt and debris and stuff's just gonna blow off. It's not gonna wanna stick to it.
Oh man.
So we're gonna bring this back to life also.
Oh really? Because these like don't come clean because they're really like, they're a hard texture.
Yeah, we'll bring it back to life, show you how to keep it that way.
So now you could actually see it.
Yeah.
Like you could see how there's like, it's kind of looks like a moon and like a halo around there. Yeah, it's so bad. I'm gonna leave the camera with Rick and Jeremy. They're gonna take you guys through how this actually gets done, and then I'm gonna come back and pick it up. Be stoked.
Hey, what's up everybody? All right, it's Tuesday morning. Truck was dropped off last night. It's the 2010 Raptor. We're gonna be doing a full paint correction, ceramic coating. We're gonna walk you through the entire process. Before we start polishing though, obviously we gotta get this thing cleaned up. So we're gonna pull it in the back right now, do a complete wash on it, decontaminate the paint. We'll be walking you through those steps. Truck's pulled in the back, so we're gonna start getting it prepped, but I wanna give you guys a look at what this paint looks like. A desert pinstriping mixed with a lot of swirl marks. Let's get a nice sunshot right there. So you see that right there? that's what we're gonna be fixing. So when we clean underneath here, we never wanna use degreasers that have high pH, because what that can do can cause staining on these kind of components, staining on your wheels. So we wanna use an all-purpose cleaner that has a lower pH that cleans by emulsifying. So today we're gonna be using solution from Shine Supply. It's a multi-purpose cleaner. We're gonna be cleaning the tires with it, all this undercarriage, so we don't have to worry about it causing permanent damage to any of this, to the finishes on these components or the finish on the wheels. So with the solution multi-purpose cleaner, we can spray it on all these running boards. We don't have to worry about if we get a little bit on the paint, it's not gonna stain that. So we've got the solution multi-purpose cleaner right here diluted. And what we've done with these colored electrical tapes is we've diluted at different ratios, and then the tape lets us easily identify which ratio we wanna grab. So we got diluted 1-to-1 here, so that's half water, half solution. We got 4-to-1 right here, and then 10-to-1. So the lower rocker panels on the truck will all get diluted, or actually not diluted, they'll get pre-treated with the solution diluted 10-to-1. We're gonna use 1-to-1 on some of the bad areas, like in the wheel wells, and then we'll use 4-to-1 on some different areas underneath the undercarriage. We have what's called a two bucket wash method. So we got our wash, which we keep our soap in, then we have our rinse water. So what we do is, as we're washing and our mitt starts loading up with debris and stuff that we're pulling off the truck as we're soaping it, we come over here and rinse the debris out in the rinse water. So then we're not carrying contaminants throughout the entire wash process. Now, when we wash this truck, we're not gonna use the mitt we're using for the lower sections up on the middle to top sections of the truck, because we would never want to transfer all the grime that gets down here up into the middle and the top of the truck. Okay, that's where most of this, all these defects came from, is people washing this vehicle like that. So when we do our wash preps for detail, we use hotshot soap. I'm gonna crack this open, pour a little bit in there, jet that up with some pressurized water, and we're gonna get ready to rock. So before we get started with any type of washing on the paint, we're gonna do the wheels, tires, undercarriage first, so the water and everything's not drying up on the paint while we're rolling through these steps. So we're gonna take solution, we're gonna pre-treat the tires, we're gonna pre-treat all this undercarriage, these running boards, these lower rocker sections. We're gonna get that stuff out of the way first, and then we'll move into washing the rest of the truck. So I got my wheel bucket here with all my brushes in it. I've already cleaned the inside of this fender well, the tire's been cleaned, and now I'm gonna move on to the wheel. It's real important to do one wheel at a time. I'm gonna take Cool Guy wheel cleaner, mist this on the wheel. You don't need a lot. Take this soft brush, just agitate it, these little tight areas. Gets in there perfectly. So you see that purple right there? That's what happens when this wheel cleaner interacts with the brake dust on the wheel and starts breaking it down. So that's when you know it's doing its job, is when you see that purple reddish. So the key is that you want to get one area done before you move on to the next section. So you want to get all the wheel well, tire, wheel last, then you're ready to move on to your next section. Wheels, tires, undercarriage has all been pre-cleaned, power washed. Now we're gonna do a pre-rinse on the truck, get all the loose stuff off. And then we're gonna go around with solution, diluted 10-to-1. We're gonna treat all these lower rockers and these running boards, and then we're gonna get into washing. Does by pre-treating these with solution 10-to-1 is it starts to break down all the heavy grime that's down low, so then when I come through and scrub, it's already halfway loosened up. Pre-rinse. Now I'm going to take hotshot soap, fill up my foam cannon, then I'll take the rest, fill it up with water. So we got the truck foam, now we're gonna start washing it. We got our 2 mitts. We're gonna use one for the upper section, one for the lower. So I'm gonna start with the lower. Basically what I mean by lower is we're gonna go from this body line down with this mitt. Got the truck soaped, rinsed. Now that the truck's clean, we're gonna do what we call decontaminating. So if you feel a vehicle that's clean, I'm sure you've all experienced this, you can feel like a slight gritty feel, even when the surface is clean. That's what's called bonded surface contaminants. So we use a product called Smooth Move Paint Decontaminator, and we're gonna treat this surface. What it's gonna do is loosen those bonded contaminants and remove them from the surface. Now this can typically be handled by a clay bar as well, but what the liquid iron remover does is it removes some of the deep embedded contaminants that even a clay can't get off. So all you do is just give a light mist over the surface. Within like a minute, it's gonna start working. We're not gonna be able to see it on this black truck, but on a white vehicle or a lighter vehicle, it would turn that purple red color just like the wheels did when we used Cool Guy. So that means it's removing the iron from the surface. So once we get this area pre-treated, we're gonna come through, give this one more foam bath, and then rinse it. And this thing will be ready for the next step. Your contaminants that you're gonna treat with Smooth Move are typically on the top of the vehicle and the back of the vehicle. A lot of times on the back, it's coming from the exhaust fumes coming up, and that's how they bond to the back. And then you'll have usually contaminants through these upper sections. The roof will usually feel kind of gritty, and definitely the hood. Typically, like the middle of the doors, you're not gonna feel a significant grittiness as you do on the tops and the back of the vehicle. So we got the Smooth Move sprayed on, we got it refoamed. We're gonna go through, give it one more real quick wash, rinse it, and then we're done. We're gonna start drying this thing. Check it out, there's the purple I was talking about. So that's the irons being lifted off the paint and dripping down. All right, we got it all washed. We're gonna start drying it. Then we're gonna get this thing pulled inside. Next step will be moving into our clay bar session. So we got the truck dried. Before we pull it in the shop, we're gonna treat all these wheel wells and undercarriage with Classy Chassis. It's gonna get rid of this crappy, faded, splotchy look, make it all nice and black. And it'll also clean up any little remaining residue that's up inside there. So here's after spraying Classy Chassis all inside this wheel well. So what we do is we just spray it in there, we let it set up for a while, we come back a little later, we rub it all in with a tatty towel, which that's basically our verbiage for just a crap microfiber towel. And what it does is it evens it all out, gets rid of kind of that greasy look, makes it nice and satin black up inside there. What's cool about Classy Chassis is it's a solvent-based dressing, which means it doesn't break down real quick with water. If you were just to spray like a traditional water-based dressing up in these wheel wells, one wash, it's gonna wash it all out. Where Classy Chassis being solvent-based, it actually stays up in there for a while. And it helps once you go to clean this again and it's loaded up with dirt, nothing's really sticking to the actual surface of the wheel well, so it cleans up a lot easier. So we got the truck washed, it's all decontaminated, so we got all the bonded contaminants off the paint with Smooth Move. Next step is gonna be to clay bar it. So hear that, we still got a little bit of rough feel on the paint. So most likely, I'm thinking it's got some paint overspray on it. So the Smooth Move, it will remove bonded iron contaminants that are on the paint, but it will not remove paint overspray. So the way we get that off is by using a clay bar. So we got two different clay bars we use here at the shop. We got white, which is a mild bar. We got purple, which is an aggressive bar. So the milds for vehicles that have very light overspray on them, very light contaminants, usually for newer cars. Truck like this, when I rub my hand across the paint and it's clean, I feel a significant amount of like gritty feel still. I'm gonna go with the aggressive bar. The reason why I would wanna use the purple aggressive bar on a newer car is that it could leave some fine abrasions in the clear coat because the bar is aggressive. So it's not that it's like rough or anything, but it just has more of a grab to it, which can abrade the clear coat. So, newer vehicles, I'm always going with the white clay bar, which is the mild one. Used vehicles that are particularly hammered, like Vinny's truck, we're going with the purple bar. and of course Shine Mist clay lubricant to give this stuff some glide across the paint. Let's get into it. So listen now, I'm gonna rub my hand across this paint. That section right there is after clay. Here's not clayed. So if I go in and start my compounding step without removing all that contamination on the paint, I'm basically gonna start causing damage as I'm trying to fix damage. Because all that contamination is now coming up into my pad. I'm working against myself. So we gotta get the paint smooth before we come in and start our first correction step with a compound and the tools. We're gonna go around, clay all the paint, all the glass, not the trim. After we get done claying, these bottom sections of vehicles usually have a light road tar. Now this truck being black, obviously we can't see it that well, but there is a little bit of road tar on it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take, this is one of my favorite products, Terminator. It's a very mild, clear coat safe solvent. So we're gonna take that, spray it on a tatty towel. This is what I was talking about earlier, our little crap microfiber towels. We're gonna spray it on that, and we're gonna work these bottom rockers and just get any remaining road grime that is on this, that is left over from our wash. Now soaps cannot remove road tar. You need a solvent to do that kind of stuff. So that's why it didn't come off in our wash process. Even solution will not break down road tar. So you always need a mild solvent to break down that road tar you see on the bottom of your vehicles. So we're gonna do that right now with Terminator. Another thing we're gonna do while we have the Terminator out is, even though this tire is clean, you see this little bit of brown residue. So any kind of residue that's still on this tire is gonna change the way it's gonna look after I've dressed it. Now I want this tire to look as brand new as possible. I'm gonna do that by getting all this remaining brown residue off. So I'm gonna take Terminator, spray it on the tatty, and thoroughly wipe down this tire so it'll be nice and black, ready for our conditioner. Paint has been clay barred. We've done Terminator on all the lower rocker panels to remove any road tar. The tires have been also done with Terminator to remove any of that light brown residue that was still remaining on them. Now I'm gonna leave the tires alone. I'm not gonna dress them till after we get done with our compounding step, because I don't wanna have any dust from our compounding step be sticking to that tire dressing during that process. Here's after my initial test spot. There's before, after the test area. So this is compound only. So look how much clarity I have. It drastically reduced the defects. That's only just a few passes. The combo I'm using is flat top compound and this Lake Country one-step microfiber pad. So this pad, the fibers of this pad are in between a cutting and a finishing microfiber texture. So it's not as coarse as a cutting, but it's not as soft as a finishing. It's right in the middle. It's got a nice long nap to it. And I'm digging it, look at that. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna clean this pad out using this pad claw tool from Rupes. I'm gonna clean this out because after you do each section, what's happened is the debris is loading up in your pad. So you want to clean it out of your pad so that before you go back into your next section, you're not taking the debris from the previous section into your next area where you're going to start compounding. So that's given us the results that we want, so I know I can move forward now with this combo. The only thing we're going to have to do is there's some deep, we call them random isolated defects. RIDS is the acronym if you want to get fancy. I'm gonna have to kind of isolate on some of those deeper ones and see if I can't get them out with a more aggressive compound. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a little dot of our chop top compound, put it right on the area where I see those deeper scratches. If that doesn't work, then my final option is gonna be to resort to hitting those with 2000 grit sandpaper and then step it out with compound from that point. All right, what's up? We're getting ready for day 3 on the Raptor complete paint correction, ceramic coating detail. So we got all our correction done. That means we've removed all the defects. We've gone around it for about a day and a half with a solid compounding step. Show you guys the results. So this is after compound only. Look at that. So what we're gonna do on this second step is the light amount of haze. I've kind of been talking about this through the process. The light amount of haze that's left after the compounding step is what we're gonna get out on our final polishing step. So what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna get all this tape off, pull all the tape off. We're gonna go around the whole truck and do what we call de-dusting. So that's when we take Eco Shine waterless wash and we're gonna douse the whole truck, get all the dust off, and then we're gonna be going around it with throwback paint cleanser. What that'll do is make sure there's zero residue left from our compounding step so that when we go into our final polishing step, we're not getting into that dust contaminating our polishing step. All right, we got the Raptor completed. It's all done. I want to give you guys a walk around. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We definitely had fun doing this job, and I hope you learned something about paint correction and true ceramic coating application. Make sure you check us out online at shinesupply.com for any products. And then this is our detail shop where this detail went down at Stevens Detailing here in Ventura, California.
Just got up here to Shine Supply and I straight up cannot even recognize this truck, man. Dude, that's solid. Look at this paint, man. Yo, dude, this straight up looks like a different color. You gotta go on the sunny side. I'm like seriously blown away. Like, there's so much more pearl in this thing than I ever even knew. Like yesterday I was with Hurt and he was like, I didn't know your truck had like blue and gold pearl in it and stuff. And I was like, yeah, me neither. But like, dude, so sick. So I'm gonna take this thing back to the shop now. There's actually an episode of Staff Inspection going up tomorrow, so Nelson's gonna shoot some beauties of this thing. So we'll pop some of those in here. This way you get some really nice camera shots in there, but I'm sure they showed a ton of this, but like, goddamn, dude, this is like a whole new truck. Look at that frame rail. This thing looks brand new. I seriously don't even want to drive this. I'm saying this thing's ceramic coated, right?
Yeah, it's ceramic coated.
So it'll be protected from like harsh sunlight, all that.
So basically, talking talked about this a couple times already, but for those listening, ceramic coating, if you could just picture like you have another hard sacrificial barrier on top of your clear coat now. Where like wax and sealants break down real quick, you know, they break down with washing. Every time you wash, you take a little bit away from your wax and sealant. Coating doesn't break down when you wash it. So it's not affected by washing, it's not affected by UV rays. So pretty much the only way you get the coating off, you have to go back in, re-compound the truck. That's how you get years out of it instead of like months like a wax or a sealant.
I wasn't even paying attention. I was just looking at how nice, shiny, and metallic-y this paint is. God damn!
I'm over here all serious.
No,
and another thing that's cool about coating too is, you know, if you do get some swirls, they're typically happening in the coating layer rather than in your paint.
Yeah. So the important part about that is you're never burning through your clear
Yeah,
coat when you're polishing it,
off,
right?
You're not taking off clear coat every
Sick.
single time you're polishing your truck. So.
Dude, that's tight. All right, cut to some beauties of this thing. I'm driving back home. I'm stoked to have such a clean truck. Now I can never go off-roading again. Need to get a truck.